nearly 50 years ago. The members were so secret they have code names like Jimmy the G, or just plain Mac, or Scrap Iron, or Bocce Ball, or can you keep going?
Secret Handshake.
The Music Man, Father Dave, Uncle Joe. So Friday Night Poker began nearly 50 years ago, and we began playing on Friday nights, 7-8 months a year, and then we're off in the summertime. And then we smoked cigars, drank beer, and talked naughty, and just had a great old time because we were 24 years old. As time went on, we became MAP, Monday Night Poker. We couldn't drive at night, we didn't drink, and we didn't smoke.
Monday afternoon?
Monday afternoon. But the good thing was we kept the gossip alive, because we had MA with Jim McKenzie, and we had the district with Father Dave, and we had Carl on a little bit sometimes because Mike, and then we had San Carlos people that were just still together, so it was kind of fun. And it's a real pleasure to see everybody here. Tom Laurinette is a legend. Danny Silva's had a little rough patch. We're really glad to see him. Mary Beach has been here the longest of any of us. You were the first hire, Mary?
I'm the oldest. I don't know.
She's the oldest. And Don Gilo, who paid our money out of his pocket sometimes, kind of like Trump. But I just had to say one more thing. We put the Friday Night Poker envelopes to tell us whose house it was going to be in the cubby holes in the office. And if anybody had ever pulled one of those out to see what those things looked like, we'd all been fired. And fortunately that didn't happen. And one more thing I had to think of. Do you remember the ditto machines in that office? That was our high tech. And if you got the ditto master in there just right, and you squeezed that number from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could get 150 copies off that thing, except the last 25 kids would hold up the paper like this, while the first 25 kids were smelling the ink. I mean, like that. Anyway, I'm glad we're all here, and it was a good idea. Jim Giacomazzi was the instigator of the MAP, Monday Afternoon Poker, but he has a letter from George Hayes he wants to share with us.
A few of the things about Monday Afternoon Poker, we used to always talk about sports and sex and women. Now we still talk about sports and women, but it's sort of in a theoretical state. We talk a lot about illnesses. Rod always starts off our poker with what he calls the organ recital. And everybody has to go around and tell what their latest injuries or diseases or whatever are. And that usually takes us about an hour. And then we get into the poker. And the poker is really kind of interesting because over the years they've made up so many games. And it's hard for somebody. Larry sat in one time and it's like, how do you catch on to all these games?
And he's smart.
And he's a math teacher. There's a game called Farina. And it's got so many wild cards. It's got deuces and jacks and the king with the axe, and if you get sevens you automatically win. And one time we had a game where there were 4 royal flushes that had split the pot 4 ways. 4 out of 7 have royal flushes. So it's a lot of fun. Joe's very, very lucky. He wins an awful lot. His books are selling like hotcakes. It was really his idea to get together today, and we just kind of expanded it. But to show you how lucky he is, he drew the #1 team in the NCAA tournament. We always have a contest every year. We draw teams, and he drew the #1 team, #1 seed, Virginia. Oh, sorry, Joe, they lost. First round, first time he gets there.
First time in history, 16 beat a 1.
I'm really happy for the turnout. Some people couldn't come. Edna really wanted Edna to be here, and I think Dan said she had a dentist appointment. Emma Quinones couldn't make it. Paul Clarkson, he said he couldn't find anybody to take care of a snake, so he couldn't come.
Actually, he couldn't come. He just died.
Yeah, it's like just.
Sorry.
Kenny Gradiska was invited. He couldn't come. He's the only one of the old San Carlos faculty that is still working. He's the last one of the San Carlos staff that is still employed with the district. He works at MA, and he's going to retire this year, so then we'll be all alone. I really wanted George Hayes to come because he was a very popular guy, and he wrote some nice things in his letter that I'd like to share with you. He said, sorry that I'm not there with you today, but I've asked Jim to convey a few thoughts. I was at San Carlos the day the doors opened in 1960 until October 1978. serving as basketball coach, teacher, and finally counselor. I loved San Carlos High. I grew up there professionally and in many ways personally as well. I met my future wife there, Meredith, a teacher of home economics. Memories of San Carlos are dear, numerous and varied, mostly positive, and a continuing source of joy and satisfaction for me. Even the riots and the closures had a positive side, as all of us involved learned and grew from the experiences, and at the same time grew closer together as comrades and faculty. The most valuable takeaways from my time at San Carlos, though, were not the events, but the people. You folks, you made it special. In addition to you in the room, I'd like to mention a few others who were special then and now. Conlon, Walty,
Hey, Walty.
Brueggemann, Coker, Dempsey, Dresden, Romero, McIntyre, Hal Anderson, Bob Finley, Maslin, Beach, Barnes, Faraday, Worthington, Heidsieck. That's one person I don't know.
Heidsieck. He was an art teacher, yeah?
Jackson, and of course Jay, the unlikely leader who provided continuity and perspective over the many years of changing administrations at James Street and on Melody Drive. I am indebted to Jay for bringing me into counseling office and later providing the encouragement and support to develop a new approach to a dated guidance program. And finally, a word to my tennis buddy, Joe, Mr. Smooth, gifted person, rare books, a great blend. Mike, my doubles partner, who I cheated out of a tournament win when I choked the closing point. Basic, never made an error in 4 years. Connolly, the paratrooper, relentless. Dan, who greeted me into his Sequoia science class on a visit from Oregon with a cheery, "Welcome to science fiction." Rod, the Iron Man, the only person of record to defeat Jimmy Coffis in handball, Judy Bassett in tennis, and Chuck Connolly in the pentathlon, all in the same afternoon. And Bob, the Renaissance man, he taught me how to fish. I got a D-. I think Bob, I received a merit badge from Ilios. Very special guy who can do it all and is still doing. He is my conduit for San Carlos High past and present. Special mention to Tom Lornette. The man of 1,000 quips, had his own diverse lunch group with Virginia O'Hagan, occasionally seated close by trying to pick up the conversation. I spent 34 years in Oregon after leaving San Carlos, raising sheep, hay, and kids, working in real estate, and as a junior high counselor. After Meredith died, I moved back to California. I currently live in Monterey, spending most of my time exploring and experiencing the many scenic wonders of this beautiful place. Attending Bible study class as a weekly volunteer, feeding the homeless, courting a young 70-year-old lady, and as grandpa, immersing myself into the lives of extended family members. Life is good. May God continue to bless us all with active lives and enduring friendships. George. I have his email and his phone number if anybody wants to make personal contact with George. Finally, I want to say that I visited Yo recently. Yo is at Gordon Manor. And I talked to her daughter Laura, and I told her we were going to have a lunch, and she said she just didn't think that it would be the best thing for you at this time. She's on some medication, but she's suffering like many of our colleagues have with an Alzheimer's issues, and she's on medication. And Jim Luttrell, I also called Rhoda, and he felt that she felt that it wouldn't be best for him to come. So let's keep in mind our thoughts with the people that weren't able to make it today. Okay, thanks Joe for the great idea. Let's do it again, but not wait 30 years.
Good job, Jim. Good job, Jimmy. For anybody. Driver's training, right? 2 driver's training. Well, I took this one guy's driver's training one time. I think it was or somebody. My kid was taking the left turn, he hit the car. I never had the guy before.
Would you like to be on the video? Do you have any memories of San Carlos?
Oh my heavens, yes. I was there for 18 years.
I mean, good ones. And what is your name?
Mike Ryan.
Mike Ryan. Okay, well, I'm Gary Lindbergh, class of '65, and we tried to get you to come to our 50th reunion. I think you had another.
Oh yeah, I remember
you
that.
You worked with the Golden Gate Band, right?
Golden Gate Park Band,
Golden Gate Park Band, yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I know a lot of my classmates ask about you.
Oh, that's
Terry
nice.
Shoup, remember Terry?
Oh
Shoup?
yeah, sure.
She asks about you all the time.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. So you have good memories of St. Carlos High.
Wonderful school. Really, you can tell we are all sort of the same age, and so it was a great place to interact. And probably one of the saddest things that a lot of people didn't realize when that school, when they had to choose a school to close San Carlos. What was so sad about it was we loved it. Was the communication that existed within that staff. It was just amazing. I saw it at no other school that I went to after that. And I went to 3 other schools. But we had reached a level where it was just, and then you all gone because
It was the newest school, wasn't it? The newest?
Yes, it was, exactly. It won awards for patterns and movement of people, and yeah, it was the newest school.
Property value is probably pretty high up there, though.
Yeah. Well, that's why they did it.
Well, like I say, you're the people I talked to that were in music. Remember you, and they always talk about you.
Oh, that's nice.
And they really, I'm glad I was able to get a little video.
Yeah, I came a year before you left. I came in '64.
Yeah, when I started, I did a little band with Mr. Honesty.
Oh, yeah.
But then I moved, then I did some other things, but he was fun too. So.
Yeah, that was a sort of a shock. He was all by himself. The next thing I know, there's 2 of us. And of course he left. That was even more of a shock.
Well, yeah, as I say, your students are going to be good fun to hear from you. When did you leave St. Carlos? When it's closed?
Oh yeah, when it closed.
So you stayed in the hotel?
Oh yeah.
Wonderful.
There to the end.
You have memories of St. Carlos High?
Physics was my main subject, and I very much enjoyed it. So much so that at one time I sent a letter to the kids' home to them, and had a class of parents that would come once a month for the whole year to learn physics along with the kids. That was fun. The big thing also, the class started almost with all fellas, and by the time I finished up, I got a 50-50 split between girls and boys. So it wasn't just a male subject. That was sort of fun. I had the best students in the whole darn school, and made it absolutely a ball teaching. Enjoyed every minute of it.
So in my class, we had students like Mark Klein, George Crooks, Alan Ellis, Ed Mitchell. You might recognize some of those names.
I barely, but I couldn't tell you what they looked like at all.
65. This was class of 65. Well, you touched a lot of students' lives.
Well, if you were there, you probably remember the open house that Orange Cross and I had. We had about 100 to 150 parents in an open house in the 2 rooms with games and toys and things for them to make and do. That was fun.
That was fun. And how long where did you leave St. Carlos?
I left San Carlos when they closed the school, and I was started the 2nd year.
The 2nd year, and you were there the whole time?
Right. 61 I started, and then they closed it in what, I don't know, 83 or something like that. Never should have closed it.